Killed your dad, right? What did he do? Hit you?
Okay, so let me cut to the chase. I think Hazbin Hotel wants us to think that Angel Dust took his father's life as a means of defense. Whether it was to protect himself, his sister, or another relative, he made the split-second decision that landed him in hell for the rest of eternity. Yet, that can't be the case, because Angel is very apprehensive at the label of murderer.
What could one do to be forgiven for being a murderer? Don't you dare call me that!
Which tells me that although he feels responsible for his father's death, he wasn't the one who actually pulled the trigger. He just tipped the domino that put Pop 6 feet under. So in this video, I want to figure out how and why Angel Dust killed his dad. How this death still haunts Angel through Vox's brainwashing, as it serves as the driving force behind him leaving the hotel at the end of season 2. And I want to touch on if resolving this trauma could actually lead to Angel's ascension in later seasons of the show. The families of the sinners in our main cast don't really seem as if they'll be relevant to the overall arcs in Hazbin Hotel, except for the family of Angel Dust, as it's already been established that his sister Molly's in heaven, while his brother Arackniss and his father Henroin are both in hell. Neither of them are on speaking terms with Angel, as they haven't been mentioned by him once, despite all three of them living in the Pride Ring. His mother's whereabouts are unknown, but she's presumed to be in heaven as well. Although I think it'd be interesting if they revealed she also ended up in hell due to her own shady dealings. If you're deeply invested in Hazbin, then you probably know that Angel Dust and his family were a part of the mafia, although Angel died of a drug overdose in the 1940s, as opposed to going out in a blaze of glory during a gang war or something to that effect. Apparently, women weren't super involved with the mafia in the 40s, at least to the extent that men were. So it's easy to assume that Molly and their mother were kept out of the family business, and with clean hands, were able to ascend to the pearly gates after their time on Earth came to an end. Though, again, it'd be interesting if their mother was actually in hell, because it turned out that she had a habit of pulling strings and getting plenty of blood spilled without lifting a finger herself. But I digress. I just love evil women. What can I say? With how the show is evaded digging into Angel's time in the mafia, it'd make the most sense if Vivzy Pop and the writers were saving this background for Angel's redemption, as it'll ultimately play a pivotal role in his father's demise. Again, the show wants us to think that this was a clear-cut instance of an abusive father taking his anger out on his kids, until one day, Angel put his foot down and stood up for both his siblings and himself through lethal means. Yet there's one thing that throws a wrench in this idea for me, and that's the dynamic between Angel, Arackniss, and Henroin, shown in the Daddy Issues animatic from 2015. Although the audio was taken from The Wedding Singer, starring America's sweetheart Adam Sandler, we shouldn't write this off as just a silly little video with no implications whatsoever, as Viv clearly felt like this moment in the film resonated with her characters. And the vibe that you get from this animatic is that Henroin felt like Angel was an embarrassment, a loose cannon compared to his brother Arackniss. Arackniss being Henroin's favorite between the two. He could actually see Arackniss becoming a competent mob boss one day, while Angel would just inevitably get himself and everyone else killed. From what we've seen of Angel's escapades with Cherry in the pilot, and how trigger happy he was when given the chance to fight the Angels, I definitely say the assessment that he could be a little reckless tracks. And I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Angel screwed up quite a bit in the mob. Henroin calls Angel a moron in this animatic, and if Viv hasn't changed the details behind his death since this was uploaded a whole ass decade ago in 2015, then this could imply that Angel getting his dad killed was a genuine screw-up on his end, something that wasn't done of malicious intent. This animatic also turns me off the idea that Henroin was an abusive father to Molly in particular, as Arackniss is seated right next to him, and I'm just gonna assume he wouldn't be cool with his pops if bro was out here laying hands on his sister. But this doesn't mean I'd rule out Henroin railing on Angel. I can see Angel getting roughed up by his father and potentially even his big bro whenever he botched an assignment. Angel internalizing it as something he deserved, that all this grief could have been avoided if he just did a better job in the first place. This would actually explain part of why it's so hard for Angel to break away from Val. Soul-binding contracts aside, Angel wanted to earn his dad's respect and took on a massive amount of abuse from him as a result. And Valentino has now entrapped him in this cycle once more, proudly taking advantage of Angel's daddy issues. And Angel hasn't bothered to find a loophole to free himself from his contract because ultimately, he feels like he still has something to atone for. That all of this is his punishment for getting his dad killed. But why? What the hell happened back in the 1940s? Well, I foresee two likely scenarios that brilliantly ties back into his journey thus far. Scenario number 1, he poisoned his dad by accident. I will be shocked if someone being poisoned wasn't a part of Angel's origin story. Allow me to paint a picture for y'all. Angel's family is beefing with a rival gang, and Henroin would love to see their boss taken out so that their own family can rise in power. Angel, desperate for a win, views this as his big break. If he can kill this guy, his dad will love him for sure. So he attempts to poison him. Perhaps there's a meeting of minds where both gangs will be in attendance, and Angel, having access to a plethora of drugs, spikes what he assumes will be the rival mob boss's drink with some sort of lethal dose, plotting for a grandiose reveal where his family ascends to the top of the food chain, only for the drinks to get mixed up and his dad ends up taking the dose instead, causing Angel to inadvertently kill his father, allowing the other gangs to surpass his family in power, and causing Angel's loved ones to lose everything, leaving Angel racked with guilt as he was never able to resolve the feelings of inadequacy created by his father, and now his family is suffering thanks to his meddling. It left Angel feeling like he just hurts the people around him, and that if he sticks around for too long, he'll inevitably make everything worse. Sound familiar? His father's death caused Angel to spiral into a depression that led to the overdose that ended his own life. In the afterlife, his father and brother refused to associate with him as his father eventually learned how he died, writing off his son as a hopeless idiot who continues to tarnish the family name with his career in the adult film industry. Scenario number 2 would parallel the twist that Angel Dust was an unknowing spy for Vox a bit more directly, while also adding on to why the narrative might be taking its time launching Angel and Husk into a full-blown romantic relationship. And that's the possibility that Angel confided mob secrets to the wrong person. This is where we cross the line from theory to full-blown speculation, but I could easily see a scenario where Angel, on the hunt for connection and a sense of belonging, ended up finding a boyfriend who he vented all of his frustrations and secrets to. But surprise, surprise, this boyfriend ended up being a part of a gang that was in direct opposition of Angel's family, and ended up spilling all the secrets that Angel shared, ultimately setting up Angel's father and getting him killed, believing that he's doing Angel a favor, as all Angel does is constantly talk about how much of an asshole his dad is. Perhaps Angel blabbed about a time and place his father would be at, or one of his dad's plans to get the jump on another gang, affording Angel's boyfriend with enough time to relay the information so that the other gang could prepare a counterattack, one that resulted in the death of Henroin and potentially even Arackniss. His family still loses everything, with Angel blaming himself and no one else, not even the boyfriend. This factors into Angel's devastation over becoming Vox's unknowing pawn, and why he's keeping his distance from the rest of the hotel, despite the fact that everyone's pretty understanding of what happened. He's suddenly reliving the biggest mistake he's ever made, being someone else's spy without realizing it. All the guilt he's felt has resurfaced, and thus he's resigned himself to being a good little lapdog for the V's, in the hopes that the hotel will be better off without him. So, with that said, what's next for Angel Dust? And how can he be redeemed of the sin that is being indirectly responsible for his father getting killed? Angel's redemption is going to be a little complicated. There's no shot that Henroin isn't going to suck as a person, as he's a dad in the Helluverse. Lucifer aside, they don't have the greatest track record, even the ones we're supposed to like. So regardless of the intention or circumstance behind Angel taking Henroin's life, I don't think this is going to be a scenario where Angel has to earn his forgiveness. I think it's going to be something where Angel stops chasing after his approval and fully accepts himself and embraces that he is indeed worthy of redemption, reclaiming his autonomy and acting on his own accord in spite of what his father or Valentino wants. If I'm remotely onto anything in this video, then the sin that Angel needs to act against isn't taking the life of a parent, but instead, it's doing horrible things that he really doesn't want to do, things that don't make him happy, and just hurts other people in order to please someone else. While it's hard to predict the exact roadmap, I definitely foresee whatever demonic mob we can assume Henroin is in clashing with the likes of Crimson, giving us one of the many crossovers between the Helluverse shows. Angel will somehow get roped into this gang war, believing that this could be his chance to atone for his dad's death, but his friends will eventually give him a much needed reality check that he doesn't have to prove anything to his dad. I could see a cathartic moment where Angel ends up saving Henroin android's afterlife just so that he can finally scold the bastard and get the closure that he deserves. Even if his father refuses to accept him for who he is and not what he could be, Angel will still be able to accept himself, finding solace in the fact that while he's genuinely grown as a person since arriving in Hell, his father is still the same sad sack of shit that he was on Earth. Okay, but imagine if Angel went through this whole arc of self-acceptance and overcoming his daddy issues, just to find out he didn't go to hell because of his dad, but just because he was in the mafia. Like, dude, why'd you think it was this one specific thing you didn't have a direct hand in, and not all the guys you shot? Anyways, I'm done yapping. Shout out to Art Coda for this thumbnail. I'm going back to binging The Sopranos.